Halloween Ends was directed by David Gordon Green and stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichak, and Rohan Campbell, just to name a few. And this is the saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, which comes to a spine-chilling excuse me, a spine-chilling climax in the final installment. Oh yes, okay. Okay, I'm serious now. The spine-chilling climax in the final installment of this trilogy. Hello, my lovelies. And yes, this is gonna be my absolute rant of what a mess this trilogy has become and how it's ended. Halloween ends badly. So, guys, let's just get right into it. And I'm sure, listen, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and I am positive there are going to be people out there that are going to be defending this movie. I can even see this is one of those films where probably 10 years down the road, people are going to be making videos dissecting the brilliance, the quote-unquote brilliance of this movie. But as it stands right now, just as a fan of horror and a big fan of slashers, this movie failed to deliver in every possible way. So 2018 we got Halloween Kills, right? And let's go a little further back than that. Rob Zombie was the first one to take a whack at bringing Michael Myers back to life, so to speak, bringing him into the modern era. And his first film is, by all accounts, a successful one. It was a very brutal, in Zombies fashion, it was a very brutal, no holds barred, grimy, gritty take on this character. But you know what? I kind of liked it, and I think a lot of people did as well. So we got a second one out of him. That one, tried to go into, I should say, it tried to be deeper than it needed to be, and it also ratcheted up the brutality, and instead of it being impactful, it just felt like it was gratuitous, and the characters themselves felt like nothing. You didn't connect emotionally with anybody. Then now fast forward, and in 2018 we got Halloween, and this one said it was gonna do away with all of the sequels. It came after the original Halloween. It was just gonna treat with the original story, the ending of that story, and the continuation. Laurie Strode is a survivor. She's been through one of the most nightmarish things anybody could possibly survive, and there are scars from that. And it was, for the most part, it was really good. The flaws were insignificant enough that we could just let it go, because the overall thing itself was pretty damn good. I, for one of my favorite aspects of it was the fact that they were treating Michael Myers as just a sadistic killer. This wasn't an undead zombie who's come back for revenge because he saw his mother beheaded. This wasn't a dream demon that killed kids in real life and then started stalking them in their nightmares. I always looked at it as, I was told Michael Myers was a man, a strong man, but just a man. So I liked the idea of them treating with it that he got shot, and no, he did not miraculously walk away from being shot. He was arrested, locked up, and he got away. The whole thing worked for me, guys. I really liked that movie, and I was excited for Halloween Kills. And then I saw Halloween Kills, and my reaction to that movie was more disappointment. I was very disappointed, and I was almost angry at the movie, because if there's one thing I hate, is when writers and directors kind of go back on their word. That's the best way I can put it, right? Because they established in the first one that this is a battle between this man, very strong man, especially for his age, right? But he's sadistic, he's brutal, he's efficient, against this woman whose years of fear has turned her into this bitter, this angry person. She's still very much afraid, but now she's afraid for her family, and she wants to stop this monster forever, for good. We introduced to her daughter, we're introduced to her granddaughter, and there's a whole thing being built up there that I had no problem with. They were building up Andy Matichak's character, Laurie's granddaughter, to be the new Laurie Strode. That could work fine, whatever. But in Halloween Kills, they go back on the it's just a man into he is the embodiment of evil, and that pisses me off. I have never ever liked that storyline, and it was not what Carpenter was going for. As we all know, as Halloween fans especially would know, Halloween was supposed to be a standalone movie, so it was never the intention that there was supposed to be some supernatural element to this entire thing. So that aspect never worked for me. But then they're bringing all these characters from they're bringing characters from these same sequels that they say they're ignoring, that these sequels and their storylines do not matter and they don't even exist in this world. And yet we see people from the franchise pop up. We see people from the first one, of course, all grown up. But it's this whole thing about the town of Haddonfield is now infected by evil, and that evil is Michael Myers personified. And the man is stabbed and beaten to death only to get back up and start killing everybody. And somehow manages to escape again from that scenario. Before he escapes, he kills Laurie's daughter, right? We don't even get to really see the kill. We get to see it from like a distance. I think she's in the window of the house, whatever. The daughter's boyfriend dies in a much more brutal fashion, right? And I didn't even care damn about him. So, it was like, okay, so he's dead. That was a really epic kill, but I didn't care about the character. You would think they would have put that kind of focus on her daughter, but we get to see it from afar, right? And then, it just kind of ends. And Laurie and her grandmother are now together. Some time has passed and they are trying to get on with their lives. And now we have Halloween Ends. And I was hoping, like everybody else, 2 was such a disappointment for most people. I really don't know anybody that likes it, but I'm trying to not speak in absolutes. So I'm sure, okay, maybe a few people out there liked it. Most people didn't. And most people were hoping they were going to course correct in this final movie. They were going to give us what was promised from the word go. A final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. And what do we get? Listen, if you thought the modern day Star Wars trilogy was terrible or messy, this beats that hands down. This is a movie, this is a script where you could tell they struggled back and forth with a bunch of ideas, and instead of sticking to one, they just threw everything at us in the audience and expected us to be okay with it. And I'm sure there are people out there who would say, oh, they were subverting expectations and, they were going for a different take on the whole remake and reboot. And of course, this would have made people angry. You can do it differently if you have something that makes sense, that works, that connects with the audience, that respects what came before. You do not ever, rule number 1 in my humble opinion of any reboot, revival, remake, whatever you want to call it, you do not disrespect the core material. Hear what we get. And guys, I am going full spoiler on this one because I really do not like this movie and I do not care enough not to spoil it. Here we get this whole thing with Haddonfield is still very much suffering from the effects of Michael Myers, right? So people are killing each other, who not killing, committing suicide, and it's this depressing town where nobody's happy, and yet for some reason, Laurie Strode and Allison decide to stay in Haddonfield. Because why? That's their home. I don't know anybody who would go through what those people went through and still stay in that town. It doesn't make sense. Okay? But fine, it has to be Haddonfield because it's a Halloween movie. You do not have to make the entire town into a villain, but fine. They do that, right? The entire town is septic at this point. Michael Myers has infected everybody, or at least people are blaming Michael for their sins. Fine. You introduce this character played by Rohan Campbell. I think the character's name is Corey, right? This boy, you be introduced to him. He's babysitting. He has a promising life ahead of him. I think he's 21 when he's babysitting, whatever. And he's planning on going off to college. This is just to raise some money. We're introduced to this family. They seem like a really nice family. And we meet this kid. And when the family leaves, it turns out the kid is a total dick. And you will not like this child in the slightest. You will be wishing this child dies. That's exactly what happens, right? He dies accidentally, but everybody thinks Corey killed this child. So now he has this stigma on him. His life is ruined. Time has passed. His life is ruined. He's been exonerated, whatever. It's been deemed an accident. But of course, you know, the people of Haddonfield are all horrible for some reason, with the exception of maybe the sheriff, who Laurie, by the way, flirts with whenever, you know, they have a couple scenes together. That's fine. And everybody's picking on this, a group of kids, and they're picking on him, and he's a crazy killer, he's a psychopath, whatever. They have it that Laurie's a whack job and he's a psycho. One is a wacko, one is a psycho, whatever, right? So, you know, he's struggling with that. Laurie takes pity on him, you know, maybe she can relate to being the tongue freak, whatever. And so we see she's trying to hook up Allison with somebody because Allison has nobody in her life. You know, Allison, she seems to have a good job, but the job, of course, there's a toxic boss who treats her like crap, you know, whatever. I don't care, and I don't think you will either. And they meet, they have this so-called romance, right? And things look like they're going on the up and up for this character until he's once again attacked by these kids, only to have himself end up face to face with Michael after the attack. Or at least it might be Michael, or it might be the spirit of Michael possessing this boy. Holy crap, I can't believe they went in that direction. They do the spirit of the killer thing here, and it's, you know, I think a lot of people might think the problem that some people have, like myself, is with the fact that they're building the whole first half of this movie seems to be building Corey up to be the new Michael Myers, or to be the new Shape, if you want to put it that way, right? Either he's possessed by him, or this boy has just been broken down mentally so badly that he is now, you know, something in his psyche has cracked, and he's convinced himself he's Michael Myers, you know. I don't have an issue with that. If that was done properly, if it was handled well, if they did not puss out on it, it could have worked, you know, because think of it as like James Bond, you know, the whole theory that 007 is not one man, but it's a title. The name James Bond is not the person's name. It's like John Smith. I like that theory. I think it makes sense because James Bond is not immortal, right? So it would make sense to have this different person being 007 all through the years. You could have done that here. It could have worked if it was done properly. You could have left the audience guessing, is Michael the one doing the killings? Is Corey the one doing the killings? I'm not for the spirit thing. Again, I have always liked Halloween as a straight up pure slasher. I don't like the supernatural element that they keep trying to force onto this character. So which is why I think the idea that it would be different people broken people inspired to become the new killer, that could work for me, right? However, we get scenes where we see Corey seemingly bitch slapping Michael Myers like he's a toddler, right? We get no real explanation for that. This is why I myself, and I'm sure a lot of people thought this is all in his mind. There is no way Michael Myers would let this boy treat him like that. It turns out that it was Michael. It was not his imagination. It was not him alone carrying out the killings that preceded, his final showdown with Laurie. It really was Corey and Michael. So Corey does a thing to punish Laurie. You know what? Screw it. I said I was going spoilers, right? Corey confronts Laurie Strode, right? And to punish her, to make her lose Allison, because Allison is so crazy in love with this man for what reason we don't know, because they barely really know each other, right? That he kills himself, same time she walks in, and it looks like Laurie killed him. She leaves in a huff because, oh, you broke my heart, you killed the love of my life, right? And then Michael comes in and we get the final showdown. It's the only part of the movie that I liked. And when I say that, I don't mean the stuff with Corey, I don't mean the stuff with Allison, that waste of time character. I'm talking about the actual final showdown. This entire movie should have been Michael and Laurie. All of the fat needed to be trimmed off of this. No disrespect to Andy Matichak, but the character of Allison has to be the most annoying character, most annoying final girl I've seen in ages. She pissed me right the hell off. And I did not like this character. I've never really liked the character. The first movie, I forgave it because she was supposed to be young. Obviously, she would make certain choices that might get on your nerves, but this is a teen. You are a grown ass woman. You've been through so much with your grandmother. And she's trying to tell you certain things, and you're just dismissing it because you're stigmatized by this boy, by this man, right? And by the way, they have zero chemistry. The two lead actors have no chemistry. So at no point do you buy into this star-crossed lovers romance weird crap they have going on for this movie, right? It just feels like a waste of time. All of it feels like a waste of time. The other plus for the movie, some of the kills were really cool. But here's the thing, a lot of the times they pull away from the final shot, the final hit. What the hell is that? I don't understand that. This is a Halloween movie with an R rating. Why are you pulling away from certain scenes but showing us others? They show us the brutal death of the DJ, right? But then they pull away with certain moments with other characters being killed. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Nobody in this movie comes out unfazed. This entire movie is just a mess of ideas. You want to go the supernatural route, but you want the slasher too. And you try to put the two together very unsuccessfully. Listen, say what you will about Friday the 13th. Jason earns the right to be this unkillable monster, right? Jason is basically an undead zombie, right? Come back to life, and therefore if you want to stab him, shoot him, hang him, electrocute him, everything, he's gonna just keep coming back. And at one point, even that series, I mean, as flawed as that entire thing is, I'm a huge fan of Friday the 13th. I grew up watching those movies and I absolutely loved them as a kid. I know they're very flawed, and it does get worse. Jason Goes to Hell also tried the supernatural route of having him hopping from body to body. They every now and again they do these messy things and it doesn't work. But the Halloween franchise for me is most guilty of not knowing how to treat with Michael as a character, because they have to have an excuse to keep bringing him back and back and back and back. You guys, with this new franchise, this new trilogy, had the opportunity to course correct on a lot of this. He could have still been human. You want to keep him alive? Fine. He could have been beaten, he could have been damaged. It would have even made sense in the end for that final showdown, because Laurie is not a young woman. So she could have gone up against a Michael who is not 100%. That would have been fine. It could have worked. That's what the people want. Instead, they shoehorn in this boy. They take him right to the edge of the cliff, right? In the sense that they're like, is this gonna work? Is the audiences gonna like the idea of Michael being replaced? And then what do? They push him off, and there's nothing at the bottom to catch him. It all falls apart. So when they realize that's not working, no, we still have to have Michael in, because if we don't bring Michael, everybody will riot. And all that we're left with is a complete and total mess of a movie. The biggest sin of all, this entire thing, is that it's boring. This has to be the most boring Halloween movie I have ever seen. And I'm including the one where Busta Rhymes hits Michael with a roundhouse kick.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
I am including that, because that at least made me laugh. This movie, I sat there, and guys, I did not go into this movie with the intention of hating it. I don't do that with any movie. I went in really hoping, because they had promised that they took into consideration what didn't work in part 2, and they were going to course correct in part 3. And instead, they just drive headlong into a wall. And I'm supposed to look at this and say, what exactly that? Oh, this was such a smart way of reimagining the entire. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. There's nothing smart here. There were no smart decisions made here, right? As a friend of mine's pointed out, even the sound was terrible in some scenes, right? This entire thing felt like they had no idea how to close things off, so they just threw everything at us and hoped for the best. What they got was just the worst. I am so sorry, Jamie Lee Curtis, that this is your final Halloween movie. You deserved much better than this. Laurie Strode deserved to go out like a badass. Instead, what we got felt like we were seeing another broken shell of a person that had to go and build themselves back up. Allison is an absolute waste, and I would not follow her into a future movie. I honestly don't want to see anything more from that character. She was grating on my nerves from beginning to end, and by the end of this especially, I was hoping she would have joined her mother in the afterlife. I did not like this character at all. Rohan Campbell, I think, oh, poor thing. I think the actor really did try his best with the character of Corey. I did not hate him as much as I disliked most of this, but it just wasn't done right. There was a way to do this if you wanted to go the 007 route, and this wasn't it, you know. My thing is, I feel like they should have picked a lane. It would have been more interesting to me if what you did was maybe you gave us hints that it might be Corey. You showed us a lot of Michael killing people left, right, and center, and then maybe reveal that it was Corey and that Michael had been dead. Michael died from his injuries in part 2. Yes, it would have pissed people off. It would have pissed a lot of people off. But here's the thing. I feel like it at least would have made sense as a story. Especially a story where you, Mr. Green, and Mr. Danny McBride, you're the ones who started it in 2018 by saying this is just a man. So you can't have it both ways. Halloween Ends, guys, this for me was a 3 to 4 out of 10. more I think about it, the score keeps going lower, but I'd give it a 4 out of 10. I did not like this movie at all. Of all the horror movies I've seen this year, this is by far the most disappointed I've been. And I'm not even a hardcore Halloween fan. I enjoy the franchise. I like the character. He's definitely iconic. But this is not what I wanted at all from this. I just give me a good slasher, and this wasn't it. This was just a mess of a movie. So 4 out of 10. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. So let me know, did you find this movie was like epic? And if so, please explain to me what it is about it that worked for you. And if you like this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It's much appreciated. If you're new and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face when it pops up right about there. And you can check out past reviews right along that way. So until next one, guys. Bye-bye.